Welcome back to LifeCraft. This is Cindy.
And this is Jose. And we are so excited for today's episode.
Yes, Jose, our topic for today is extraordinary healing. And our guest has been doing energy work for almost 26 years. She is our mentor, guide, and healer who has been a source of inspiration and spiritual growth for us through the years. In fact, with her unique healing modalities, we have raised our own frequencies and consciousness, which really allowed us to shift our mindsets, release our limiting beliefs, and listen to our higher selves. So we are really extremely joyful to have her with us today here at the LifeCraft podcast, Moi Francisco.
Hello.
Welcome, Moi.
Hi. Thanks for having
Hi,
me.
Mo.
Hi. It's
We're
very
so
good
happy
to
you're
have you with
here.
us.
Yeah. It's my pleasure. First time I'm doing an interview.
Ah, love
Yeah,
it.
Uh, uh,
I
and,
couldn't
and we're
turn
so
it
happy
down.
that we're the first.
She cannot say no to us. As her own mentees,
Yeah,
she cannot say
I
no.
know.
Yeah.
After more than 10 years of
I
A really
know,
working
long
right?
together.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. And in fact, it's more than 10 years, really, almost 20.
almost 10. No.
Right. And well, we do want to start by asking. I know we know this, but we'd love our listeners to hear. How did you begin your work as, an energy healer or an energy healing practitioner?
Yeah, I think as an energy healer, I think you're called to it. So it's like
Yeah.
priesthood because I wasn't into any energy work and I didn't have any interests either at that time. So I
Yeah.
was more interested in doing business and all. But then um, things led me to look into it more.
Mm.
Um, because of
Yes.
my son's conditions, I had to help him and I couldn't find anyone to help him. So I had to like do it on my own. And so that's what started me with energy work. But I've always wanted to help people since before.
Yes.
So yeah, so I had just explored. And then when the student is ready, you find the teachers. So
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah,
I
but
Moy,
agree.
when you say
yeah,
energy healing practitioner,
yeah,
maybe you and Cindy, you're accustomed to that term. But let's say
Yes.
people like me, I sort of have an idea, but in your words, how would you describe your work
yeah,
or your
yeah,
practice as an energy healing
yeah. So here we
expert person?
define,
Yeah.
yeah, we define energy here as something that's not solid. So you can't, it's not fire or it's not wind. So we here I just use a lot of divine energy. So I kind of
Yes.
connect with my spirituality, with my higher self. And then I'm able to draw that divine energy and then facilitate it on people. So I send the energy to people and then it's also the clients who heal themselves eventually because they get to use that energy according to their will, however they want to use it. So some people get shifts immediately because they're so ready and they're so accepting. But others who are just kind of curious, it takes them a longer time to experience that shift.
Right.
So
And yeah. I remember one of the things we would talk about when it comes to that energy work is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just is shifted or it takes another form.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
and
So there are several forms of energy work. You can work with sound. You can work with,
mm,
as in Reiki, you're just using that energy, uh, that
yes,
healing energy. You feel it as if you're the one healing, sometimes it feels warm or really hot. So if I put my
Right.
hands on you, you'll feel that heat coming from my hands. So that's what one
Yes.
kind. And then some use drumming. So that's a kind of a sound. And then there are many others. Some use crystals, and other esoteric
Yes.
um, ways.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Wow. Well, I sort of have an idea because I asked you, Moy, to help me clear. Like
yeah,
every time I move apartments,
yeah,
you're one of those people on my top list to ask help from in terms of clearing
yeah,
the new space,
yeah,
and and probably you can tell us more about the kind of healing that you do or the different kinds of healing that you do, and how long have you
Yeah.
been doing this?
yeah. Okay, so I
Yeah.
started. My first exposure to energy work was when I took Silva method. So this one's using
Yes.
your alpha wave, and then you're able to heal people or find out what's wrong with them. So it's basically working with your intuition. And so I learned that, but I wasn't really into energy work. And then the second time I did healing was with my son. It was basically praying and then sending energy
Yes.
and then a lot of visualization. So, but that was random and I was only healing him. So I learned to do Reiki. I don't do that as a practitioner. I do a lot of sound healing now using crystal singing bowls. And right now I use tuning forks to align
Mm-hmm.
energy and to shift consciousness. Um, and then I also use, Cindy's familiar with this, I do Millennium Method as well. That's using fractals to
Yes.
give you energy to help you shift. And
Sorry, Tita
then
Moy, what do you mean by fractals?
fractals are, it's actually everywhere in nature, meaning, for example, you have a very, very simple example is a circle on a bigger circle and a bigger circle and a bigger circle. So they all look the
Yeah.
same. No
Yeah.
matter how you go, whether you go micro or macro, the pattern remains the same. And so it's everywhere in nature. Um, so nature
Mm.
is made of fractals. So
So
fractals
para tong
are,
patterns of form, ganyan. Patterns
yeah,
of form,
patterns
patterns of
of geometry,
energy.
geometry. Because
Okay.
geometries have energy, it's mathematical, it's scientific,
Okay.
and so it
Okay.
works on a quantum level. So when we say quantum, it's like very, very, very small.
Okay. Okay.
So
And I remember it's founded because I use the same tool, that modality. It's also founded on protocols are embedded in those shapes and
yeah,
geometry. And so by simply looking at the fractals, there's already that work that is happening where an obstacle is actually cleared or moved.
Okay. Medyo nalulunod na
Yeah.
ako, Cindy.
and
And
then
Moy, kasi may sinabi kang protocols and
yeah,
modalities. Ano
and
ibig sabihin ng protocol?
protocol are the steps that you
Yeah.
do, you follow,
Ah,
so that
okay.
you're sure you're doing it correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
so inaaral pala 'yan.
Yes. Yes.
Talagang pinag-aralan
Yeah.
din 'yan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh-uh.
yes.
Oo.
Um.
Kasi normally nakikita lang natin or nakikita ko sa mga movies
Yeah.
ganyan, parang ano the people are doing like these hand gestures and moving around,
Yeah.
but what you're saying is it's a more systematic
Yes. It's more
approach.
structured. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Structured
Yeah. Well,
approach.
Right.
but with
Okay.
structure comes intuition, so you don't necessarily have to stick to that structure.
Okay.
But
Yes.
Okay.
there's a lot of intuition and guidance coming from the guides going on.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah. So, and then I do spiritual dowsing. So that's using a pendulum to clear and shift. Um, so this one helps
Okay.
people feel light right away because a lot of
Mm.
the baggages that they don't see are cleared immediately.
Ang galing. So yung mga halimbawa I recall you did that to my apartment. And
Um,
yun na, nung una pa lang mabigat yung feeling, ano. Tapos nung pagkagawa mo, when you did that, along with uh, other types of work
yeah,
pa, talagang pagkatapos nun, ano, very
like,
iba yung feeling.
yeah,
Oo, parang ano, parang na naging mas light, mas magaan yung yung apartment.
yeah, yeah. So I also
Oo.
do space clearing. So that's part of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because people don't normally pay attention to where they live. You know, we pay attention to how we look or how our hair looks, how our body looks, but suddenly
Oo.
people pay attention to where they live, which is which really contributes to your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual lives. Um,
Uh,
yeah,
yes. I feel like I remember Moy sharing with me how um, it's about centering. No, and there are tools also used to make the house feel balanced or apartment
yeah, that's
centered,
using
even
biogeometry.
workplaces.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
another modality.
yeah,
So you see, I'm into different
yeah.
modalities because I like to grow.
Oo. Ang
So
Yeah.
galing.
yeah.
Eh, so my question with that is, how did your own growth in the work that you do impact the lives of
Oh,
others?
I noticed that the more I paid attention to my growth and the more I grew, the people around me and even my clients get um well, my clients shift faster, and then the people around me also grow. Not at the same pace as I am, because they have their own free will also. But somehow I help them shift. So
When we say shift, Moy, what does it mean in terms of shifting consciousness?
meaning, okay, if you were feeling depressed before, or you're very
Yeah.
critical of other people, a shift will
Mm.
for example, not parang you won't be so judgmental about others. Parang you let them be. So you'll be more patient with others. So that's the shift that I'm talking about.
I see.
Yeah. So yeah, different. So I've seen a lot of my family shift. It took them longer, but they
Yeah.
still shifted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even ako din I shifted every time I have a discussion with you or a talk with you, even with Cindy, who's also my coach. I always have that shift
Yeah,
after talking to her.
yeah,
Or kahit ito, even this podcast, while we're doing it,
yeah,
I feel at the beginning medyo wala ako sa sa tamang isip, or my feeling
yeah,
is not so, I would say, it's positive, but nakikita ko yung difference after.
yeah,
Parang, again, it goes back to feeling, it goes back to the emotional state.
yeah,
Ah,
Yes.
nagiging mas light din siya. Parang yung ginagawa mo din dun sa mga spaces,
yeah,
physical
yeah,
spaces. The internal
yeah,
space, I feel, parang nagiging mas light yung mga maliliit na issue na
yeah,
nakakagulo or nakaka-distract,
yeah.
nawawala siya. So, I think ang galing nung ginagawa mo, Moy. How did you study that? Parang was it hard?
Mm,
Was it
it's
difficult?
more your, like in everything that you do, you have to pay attention to the purity of your intention. Everything starts with that. And parang you have to realize
Yeah.
how pure it is. It should be parang not to serve your ego, because that will make a
Mm,
difference in the kind of healing that you do, how you project it. So yeah. So I find that being true to that intention, and then being really pure about the intention that I
Mm.
give makes a lot of
Yeah.
difference.
And I agree. I feel that way even like now, like what was you were saying earlier, talking to you and Moy. I also feel that shift because it's like when we're together, there's this certain energy that is created because of a certain mindset and that purity I feel of intention. And I see this and I want to ask Moy, how does one live a life like that? Like one that's filled with authenticity, abundance, peace, joy, and that purity. How does one get to that, working on the self and overcoming aspects of one's ego
Um, yeah,
in order to come from that place of
yeah. So
purity?
as I mentioned, it's all intention. So first you have to want it. So you also
Mm,
need to be aware that you want it, and then declare it that this is what you want,
okay.
and then work your way towards that. So do things that will um contribute to what you want. So for example, early on, like I don't know, 20 plus years ago, I found out my purpose was to experience peace, joy, and love. So that's what I came here for. So since I found that out, I would not do anything that does not contribute to that.
Ang
Wow,
galing.
that's very
Ang
clear.
Yeah.
galing.
So if
Ang
Yeah.
galing, galing.
if you
And
want peace,
yeah,
if there's a situation presents is presented to you, so you always ask yourself, is this gonna bring me peace? Is this gonna bring me love? Is this gonna bring me abundance? If not, parang don't waste your energy doing it.
I love
That's
that.
not
I
gonna
love
I
that.
like that
do any
measure,
good.
Jose. Ah.
And even like in our LifeCraft course, one of the core things that we teach is finding their life center, which is in a way finding their
Yeah.
purpose. Why are
Yes.
they here? What are they here for? What do they stand
Yeah.
for? And ang ganda nung
Yeah.
sa'yo because 20 years ago you found that, and that became such a guiding light in everything that you do. And I in those years, parang the years that I've known you, I've also seen you grow and evolve and change, and the way you're doing your healing has also changed
Yes.
and
Yeah.
evolved.
Yeah.
So it's such a great
Yeah.
lesson.
And parang you shouldn't, like, your audience, no, shouldn't also be stuck at um a certain persona of who they are, or of who they want to be, because
Mm.
maybe that's not what their sole purpose is, you know.
Mm.
So how does one discover that? Like
Yeah.
we have some when we talk about our life center in the course, we ask some questions about like, when what is like a gift that they bring to the world, or what do they represent within, what really is
Yeah.
natural to them, that that's like a
Yeah.
gift that they have, that when they're around
Right.
people it's like that's what they give
Yeah.
or produce. So does that
It
align with
aligns if
what you're
it
sharing with
aligns, but
us?
then
Yeah.
in terms of gifts, like when I do soul realignment,
Yeah.
you have a major gift, right? I did this to you and Jose. So you have a major gift, right? So
Yes.
some of my
Yeah.
clients
Yeah.
didn't know that was their major gift. And so they have other gifts, like smaller quantity, and that's what they use. But using
Mm-hmm.
the greater
Yeah.
gift that you have will even enhance your life more. Um, yeah, so you
Yeah.
only find that
That,
out if you don't do solar alignment. You don't have to. By
yeah.
listening and then your intuition, and then just by being aware of what's presented to you. In terms of opportunities, in terms of life situations, and then you'll just really know from there that. Yeah.
Galing.
So
Yeah.
if you got
Yeah.
stuck at, for example, I want to be an influencer, and then you're stuck at that,
Yeah.
you're gonna limit your growth. because there might be other opportunities that life presents to you, and then you'll just deny yourself the experience and the growth because you're too focused on that goal.
And that. So how
Yeah, that kind of
yeah.
expression of
So
life
how do you
and your life.
sorry, Cindy. So how do you know when you are no longer but you're being
To
called
do
to be
something
more than, let's
else.
say, just an
Yeah.
influencer? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
When do
you
you
you should
know?
always, so this is why you should develop your intuition and why you should practice spirituality, so you can go within and then listen to yourself. But it also shows up in terms of feelings and like enthusiasm, like, and then opportunities, like someone tells you, do you want to do this, but it's not
Yeah.
influencing, but it's there. So don't
Yeah.
close yourself into doing that. If it doesn't feel heavy, then why not explore?
I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that
That
now.
lightness
Yeah,
of
it has to
being
feel
has to
light.
be there. Like the and you have to connect with like what you were saying earlier, like the self within the higher self, which is like your one's conscience
Inner
or
voice,
one's inner
yeah.
voice, like the divine voice. Is that
Yes, the
correct?
soul. Yeah, the soul.
Yeah. The soul. Yeah. And how does one really tune into that? Like what are some of the clues, like aside from looking at opportunities and feeling one's way through it, um what else could be a good like tell in terms of choosing that
Mhm.
voice or
Yeah,
listening to
they
that voice,
present
or how
themselves
does
in
one go
many ways.
deeper?
Like a movie
Yeah.
can strike you, something that you read on the internet, music
Yeah.
that you listen to. So these are all opportunities.
Yes.
These are all ways also of how angelic beings can talk to you or your guides.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't necessarily like tell
I
you,
like
I,
that.
like you don't hear them,
yeah.
but you can be clear audience. Sometimes they come in as thoughts. Sometimes
Yeah,
through
that's
numbers, sometimes through what you read,
yeah.
what strikes you on the
Mm,
internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to feel, you have to feel it in your heart, in your soul, like in the middle of your heart or your gut. It's not
yeah,
mental.
na.
The
Ang
feeling's not
galing.
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah.
And I agree because there's such a thing as heart intelligence and gut intelligence. And that's all coming up right now with intuition. And I think that's aligned with how one can, that's why you were saying earlier, I believe, is to tap into that intuition, to give it a shot, like take a step towards that intuition to see if
Right.
it leads to more guidance. Yeah. um, and I guess self
Yes.
awareness, being mindful of it and opening one's eyes and ears. And I think by simply having this discussion today, more people are going to be looking at things
Right. Yeah.
intuitively.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a question. I have a question, Moy. Because especially in our lives now,
Right.
no? Yung, halimbawa ako, I'm always on social
Right.
media. Parang, ano, di ba? Yung all the
Mm-hmm.
platforms and then yung napapanood natin sa
Right.
news and then hindi mo maiwasan minsan yung ibang mga tao, they are thinking in a different
Right.
way, and even yung yung work, yung trabaho din natin, or sometimes there's a tendency to really get bothered by, I would say, the small things and be bothered by the
Right.
distractions. And you and Cindy, you're
Yeah.
talking about this finding that intuition, being able to find that space where you can allow things to speak to
Right.
you, which is very important. Paano yan ngayon? How do we do that?
Okay.
That's a
It's
very
gonna
good
be
question,
hard
Jose.
for most people to do that because this is on the esoteric side. A lot of people have negative influences in terms of, you know,
Mm,
a lot
Yeah.
of negative energy around, and so you have to clear that first. Um, if you clear it, then you'll get to it faster. If you don't clear it, then it's going to be much slower. So this is why we work on ourselves, and then this is why, like Cindy and I do what we do. It's to help people clear so that it's
Yeah.
faster. It's yeah, it works faster if you clear yourself. Um, yeah, that's what I. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
important.
Because yeah, because there are times, diba, like I feel down or I feel discouraged or
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
consciousness, I would say parang it's not that
yeah.
high. So ano yung and you're talking about clearing. Can you expound a little bit more about
So there are
that?
many ways of. It's an energy work. It's an energy facilitation.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
so there are
Yeah.
many different ways of clearing. So you can use the fractals using millennium method. You can use pendulums, and then you can use sound. So, but they're all energy work.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you can use shamanisms, but they're all energy work. So you're not gonna find it in, for example, the Western medicine. It's in the Eastern.
Yeah.
It's in Eastern
Yeah. Actually,
medicine because
I
they
was just
deal with meridians, and then
yeah.
acupuncture is also meridian. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
And
I was actually
right. And
sorry.
there,
Go ahead. Dahil kong
yeah.
tanong,
I recommend the movie,
anong
Jose.
anong movie?
soul. Yeah,
Soul. Soul is
it's
a good
cartoon.
S
movie.
Soul.
To look at, yeah, this will help people see, their mission. It's a good way to explore
Okay.
that. And then I guess to understand energy work more, I think Doctor Strange is a good film to
Okay.
Yeah,
watch.
Doctor Strange.
I, I was
Yeah.
actually going to ask, speaking of Doctor Strange, no, because Doctor Strange, for
Yeah.
those who don't know him, diba, he started off really as a, Western medicine type of doctor, really, really good at it, head
Right.
of it, and I was going to ask, how does your
Yeah,
work, this extraordinary healing through energy, energy healing, uh, how does that relate to Western medicine or Western mental
yeah.
models
It's
of
actually a great
healing?
support
Mm,
Yeah.
for Western medicine. So, meaning if you have
Okay.
cancer, then you do what you have to do. If you need chemo and you're for chemo, then do your chemo, but you also need to work on your um, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects. So that's the
Okay.
energy
Hindi
work.
lang
Yeah.
physical.
Yeah. So I find that
Yeah.
people who only worked on the physical, they never really made it.
Okay.
Yeah. And the people who only worked on the energetic also did not make it. So I think it's a
Okay.
combination. It's like a
yeah.
very good they have a very good partnership, the yeah, energy and
Yeah.
Western. So you need to do
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Um yeah, if you wanna heal.
Yeah. Kaya ang galing ng example ni Cindy because Cindy was talking about Doctor Strange who had both. He had
Yeah.
the Western
Yeah.
part and then he had the extra
Yeah.
part, no? Uh, and at the end, he healed
Yeah.
himself,
Yeah.
basically. Because he
Yeah.
was physically broken, di
You
ba,
did.
after that car
Yeah.
accident. Sorry, ang tagal natin kay
You're
Doctor
so
Strange. But
right.
then he healed. But he wasn't physical healing. It was his
Yeah.
Ang
spiritual
ganda.
Yeah.
healing. Kaya ang galing na example mo, Cindy.
Yes.
Nakarelate ako.
Naiisip kasi yung tanong mo, sabi ko yun talaga ang lagi kong naaalala kasi ang yung principle behind self-healing and then the
Mm-mm.
discovery of the self allows one to discover one's spirituality, one's soul, and really go deeper. And then to have that mix, it's really, I think it's a, thank you for seeing that, Jose, but also I feel it's really an easy one for us to recommend to others so they understand what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wag,
Yeah.
at may mga
And what they
kalaban
can do
din
for
dyan, di
Oo,
ba?
may
themselves.
kalaman
Although I'm
din.
not sure if we have time to
Ano?
discuss it, di ba? But there are also these negative
Yeah.
forces also at play.
Oh
May not
yeah.
exactly be those forces na pinakita dun sa movie, but there are negative forces too,
Mm-mm.
which part din siya nung healing
Yeah.
work, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
some of them
Tama.
show up
Mm-mm.
because
Kasi
para
paano,
it's to help the
yeah.
person become better. Like they have their roles to play. So
Yeah.
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 Like they call that shadow work. So iba pa 'yon, pero appreciation siya ng the shadows in our lives. So if there's light, there's also darkness, shadow, the void. So it's like when you are in a state of emptiness or quietude and you feel so low. A lot of people say when they're low,
Right.
that's when they see the light or they have to go through something. And then when they go through the darkest hour of their life, or what I call the crucible, they suddenly,
Right.
there's an awakening. Yeah. So I believe that that aligns with the work that Moy is doing and I'm doing, and you're also doing, Jose, with also in your world of being a futurist. I think all of these are really aligning um in terms of when we talk about the future and designing our lives in LifeCraft, because that's what we use. We use futures thinking and we use design thinking. So how do these two, you think, Moy, influence, how do we use spirituality and these energy work to really create or design the life of one's dreams, um, and fix, like doing
Right.
working on the
So
present
first of
for the
all,
future?
it's very
Yeah.
common for people who go through spirituality to be ungrounded. So their minds all up there, and then they can't deal with
Yeah.
mundane things anymore. So the first thing you need to do when you do energy
Mhm.
work, after you do energy work, is to ground yourself. So meaning grounded, meaning
Yeah.
you can actually relate to what's going on the earth. You don't necessarily have to be influenced by it or be affected by the negativity, but you're aware. And then yeah, and
Right.
then you use that groundedness and that spiritual. Parang you let it meet so that you're doing,
Mm.
even though you're not feeling the negativity around you, you're able to do good work, and you're still able to do parang to feel good.
So it, I guess, translates, for example, if one is working and after energy work, one can look at the work that they're doing in a different way, coming from the wisdom of the energy work. They can ground by living their lives daily, but having that added, I guess, wisdom from the
Yeah.
learning from or the experience of clearing, or energy work, that they can open their eyes
No,
and see a different perspective.
it's the way you're going to do your work that will
Yeah.
change. Okay, so if you're,
I
for
see. Okay.
example, you're a farmer, and um you're ano, you're not highly conscious. So you're just doing that out of kasi it's the only thing you know. You're doing it for the money, you know.
Yeah.
When you become
Yeah.
spiritual, you'll still be planting, but then the energy that you put into
Yeah.
the planting will shift, and then your feelings will change. So that's parang experiencing heaven and earth.
Wow.
Love that.
What do you mean by heaven and
Like
earth,
you're living on
Chamoy? I love
earth,
that concept.
you're living on earth, but you
Yeah.
don't feel the density. Yeah.
The
So
heaviness
even
of it,
even though like
Mm.
the
calamities
hardness
around
of life.
happen, even if you have a relative who just passed away, even if
Oo. Or
yeah,
eto,
even if there's
pandemic. Tita
pandemic,
mo eh. Di ba? Mag-iisang taon na tayo. And happy
yeah, you
anniversary
don't
I
you
know,
of
don't
the
get
mag-anniversary.
affected
quarantine.
by them
Diba?
all. So you still maintain your centeredness. You're still able to laugh. You're still able to see the bright side of things, you're still able to contribute
Wow.
to society. Parang you know what to do, and then
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
affected by you won't be affected by what's going on around. Yeah,
Wow. Amazing.
Because of that
yeah,
that centeredness
Yeah.
within, and I think that's where intention comes in, the
yeah,
center, the life center, the why, the mission. I think it aligns, and even if one is in the dark, um and learning still in that place, um I feel like when with you saying heaven on earth, one can sit there and also appreciate being in that space in a
right.
particular time of one's
Yeah.
life.
Oo.
um
Because in a way, like what Tita Moy,
yeah.
what Moy was saying earlier, it was yung eto, these are actually
Yeah.
teachers. The
Yeah,
shadows, as you said, the darkness, the se- the
Right.
seem the seemingly the obstacles, these
yeah,
or the people who opposed us,
True.
or the people who
yeah.
oppose us.
They're
These
all
are all
teachers. Yes.
teachers. And yeah, and that's such a great
Yeah,
perspective, ano? And really so much lessons today. So in case there are people who have been touched or been inspired by your lessons, Moy, are you open to them contacting you, and how do they contact
oh,
you?
Yeah.
yeah, I have a website, um, which Cindy can give you the website and the,
Yeah, the website is
Okay.
clearingfrequencies.com and
All
alliscentered.com.
sorry, all is
And
center. Okay,
yeah,
alliscentered.com.
centered
with
with
an
an
E.
ed.
And
Okay.
with an ed.
Okay.
Yeah, with
She's also
IG,
on
yeah.
Instagram.
Okay.
So yeah, she's on IG. So you can follow both clearing frequencies and at all is centered. So if you type it up anyway, it'll come up. You'll
Okay.
see it.
That's great.
But the sites are perfect way to connect and make an
Yeah,
appointment.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any because we're talking about that
yeah,
heaven on earth, and we're in a way concluding this
yeah,
conversation, which is very, very fascinating, very interesting, and a lot of, I would say, very practical and real important lessons. Like, any last words to our life crafters, our
yeah,
audience out there, people who want to change or are changing, um, and evolving themselves, their lives? Any words of advice for them in this
yeah.
journey?
So just don't lose hope. And then there's a bright future ahead for everyone. And then enjoy your journey, because it's not always going to be easy, but
Mm-hmm.
the journey itself is your prize. So you'll find that when you've reached what
Wow.
you want. So for example, you've attained peace. You won't look at the peace, you'll look at your journey. And that's what you treasure.
Wow. I love that. Yeah.
Galing.
Very touched by your words, Moy.
Galing.
They really, I think, are a great inspiration for everyone listening. Wow. I love it. What a
I love it
beautiful
too.
way uh, to end this topic of ours on extraordinary healing. And again, you can reach out to Moi Francisco by going to her site www.clearingfrequencies.com, and you can also look at alliscentered.com. You can also follow her on IG with Clearing Frequencies and All is Centered, and of course at LifeCraft. If you'd like to join us as well, please add us on Facebook. We have a like page, My LifeCraft, and on IG at my underscore lifecraft. Jose,
Yeah. You said it all, Cindy,
thank you.
and Moy, really thank you
Oh, you're
from the
welcome. You're welcome.
bottom of our hearts. And
Yes,
we
thank you,
are,
Moy.
I think I speak for Cindy, we feel so privileged that we are also able to share your gift to our life crafters, to our audience, and
Yes.
hopefully that, please continue on this journey. We need you. We need more
Yes, we
people like
do.
you, who, as you said, have pla- placed aside their ego and have really followed their calling, and really for the higher self and for the higher good. So thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Moy. Thank you. Have a wonderful time wherever you are, to our listeners, and may you be blessed. See you again
Bye.
on our next podcast. Thank you.